on December 30th, 2004. I was there.
It was that time of year again. I had nothing going on in my life. I had my new job that I was about 4 months in, but I had nothing else. No girlfriend, no school because I graduated the 13th grade early in that year. My workday always ended no later than 2 in the afternoon, unless if I put in the occasional overtime. My night was wide open, and I made some decent money to splurge on a ticket for myself in this game. Maybe I'll luck out like the previous year and blend in with the traveling horde that would come out from the San Joaquin Valley to watch this bowl game. Huh? You mean Fresno State didn't come out? They'd rather go to Idaho and play a ranked ACC team? So the Bowl Planning Commission had a dilly of a pickle. The game had a tie-in with the Western Athletic Conference and the Pac-10. But their problem was there were not enough bowl-eligible teams in either conference to come out to San Jose. The WAC had 4 teams that were eligible, but try getting an undefeated 10th-ranked Boise State to come out to San Jose. Not happening. They'd rather get a challenge in a ranked Big East school. UTEP just take a cross-state flight to Houston and face a Big 12 team. Same with Hawaii. Why leave the island when they could host a bowl game against UAB on Christmas Eve? The same scenario was with the Pac-10. 5 teams in the conference were bowl eligible, but they were busy. UCLA would be in Las Vegas. Arizona State played in El Paso. Oregon State played in Arizona against Notre Dame. 4th-ranked Cal with quarterback Aaron Rodgers would play in San Diego. Lastly, I'm sure an undefeated top-ranked USC Trojans team would rather play in Florida to win a national championship than a meandering bowl game in San Jose. No WAC teams wanted to play there. No Pac-10 teams would come. What to do? Who would be the 2 teams that couldn't find a bowl game near them and would be asking, "Do you know the way to San Jose?" Here are the hints. One was making their first bowl appearance since the 1980s, the other would be one of 2 debutantes in the 2004 bowl season. Located in DeKalb, Illinois, 50 miles from Chicago, is Northern Illinois University. The Huskies of the Mid-American Conference had a pretty good season, finishing the season at 8-3 and missed out on playing in the MAC Conference Championship game due to a loss to Toledo. The MAC Conference had 5 bowl-eligible schools, but not many conference tie-ins for them. As a result, NIU will be playing in the SVFC, their first bowl game since 1983. Notable alumni to come from NIU includes wide receiver Chad Beebe, basketball player Kenny Battle, baseball executive and NHL scout Ned Colletti, one of my favorite WWE ladies Maria Kanellis. Also, legendary filmmaker Robert Zemeckis went to NIU in his early years. Along with the voice I've been hearing on my TV since 1990, the man who was the driving force of Homer Simpson and a host of other iconic characters, Dan Castellaneta. Some of the notables of this 2004 team were running back Garrett Wolfe and wide receiver Sam Hurd. Both had short pro football careers. Hurd went undrafted before signing with the Dallas Cowboys in 2006, and Wolfe was selected in the 3rd round by the Chicago Bears in 2007. NIU's starting quarterback was Josh Haldy. I really couldn't find much on him except that this game would be the last of his college career. He would get a BS in accountancy and, as of this video, is a director at Golub Capital in Chicago. This game would be Troy's coming out party, the "hey, we made it to a bowl game" moment. Located in the city of Troy in southeast Alabama, this would be the school's first bowl game since joining Division 1A in 2001. They spent 3 seasons as an independent before going to the Sun Belt Conference in 2004. They finished the season 7-4. A highlight of their season was beating 19th-ranked Missouri at home and in front of a national TV audience. In fact, they gave it the old college try in those 4 losses. Each loss, their margin of defeat was 10 points or less. Since North Texas was hogging all the Sun Belt glory, Troy would make the trip to San Jose. Some notable sports alumni from Troy are baseball catcher Mackie Sasser, Kerry Jenkins, who won his Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, kicker Lawrence Tynes, and Osi Umenyiora, who won Super Bowl 42 with the New York Giants. Troy's starting quarterback was D.T. McDowell. This would be his only season at Troy. Also featured in this game was linebacker DeMarcus Ware. Ware would be drafted 11th overall by the Dallas Cowboys and spent 12 seasons in the NFL, going to 9 Pro Bowls, winning the Butkus Award twice, and, like the other football alumni that I mentioned, Ware won a Super Bowl during his 3 seasons with the Denver Broncos. My apologies to all of the Troy folk, But while the Trojans were dominating most of the first quarter, ESPN was experiencing some technical difficulties. In the first possession of the game, DT McDowell would cap off the opening drive of 9 plays with a 1-yard quarterback sneak in the end zone. Northern Illinois would go 3 and out, and Troy would take over. The Trojans would score again on another long drive. McDowell found Jermaine Richardson in the end zone for a 23-yard TD score. The Huskies would finally get serious on their next possession. In a minute or less, Garrett Wolf would run half the field to put NIU on the board.
Garrett Wolf, a terrific running back for Northern Illinois, shows the speed. Garrett Wolf, touchdown! 50 yards and the score.
NIU's defense would also get serious, as on Troy's next possession, Lionel Hickenbottom would pick off a lazy pass from McDowell.
Dowell escapes and then throws it. It's picked off, intercepted by Boogie Hickenbottom. And Northern Illinois has really turned this game around.
In 5 plays, the Huskies would come back as Haldy pulled off a quarterback sneak in the end zone on a 2nd and goal from the 1.
September, and all Wolf did was get 200 yards in the second half. And now 2nd and goal and another touchdown. Haldy keeps it, the quarterback takes it in, and Northern Illinois has fought back bravely from 14-0 down.
A comeback already in the first quarter? Truly a sign of an exciting game, right? NIU would continue to keep Troy off the board. First, they started off with some prime field position after a blocked punt recovered by the Huskies' Dustin Utching.
Just under 17 per, and it's blocked. The punt is blocked. Dustin Utching blocks it, and Northern Illinois.
The Huskies didn't move the ball much after that blocked punt as Chris Nendick added 3 more unanswered points with a 30-yard field goal.
He's 5 of 8 from 30 to 39 on the season. Make it 6 of 9. So the blocked punt turned into 3 points by Northern Illinois.
Nendick would try to add to the lead with a 42-yard field goal.
Today, good work down there, Dave.
Nendick, who is hit from 30, comes in and misses from 42.
I said try. Near the end of the half, Haldy would try to run it in the end zone himself on 4th and goal, because why not?
From the 1.
Why not? Their defense is playing so well in their powerful running game. Strength against strength.
Oh, and Haldy takes it himself. Josh Haldy on the bootleg. Touchdown, Huskies.
The Huskies scored 24 unanswered points as they led by 10 at the half. The game wasn't too far out of reach for the bowl game newbies, but Troy was going to have to find the end zone in the second half to have a chance. Troy didn't have a problem with that, as DeWitt Betterson from Troy's own 15-yard line would take it all the way to the end zone.
In its 4th season of Division 1A play, Troy has the football down 10. And that play, we heard whistles. Betterson hesitated, and now he takes off. And now the officials are conferring back at the line of scrimmage. I distinctly heard whistles, as did Betterson and most of the players on the field right before the play.
Psych, you heard the whistles. Some knucklehead on my side of the stadium was blowing a whistle that sounded like the same ones the officials were blowing. The play didn't count, and the referee said, "Somebody call the cops on that Husky fan."
The play started. Why stop it?
Please put the play clock to 13 minutes, 40 seconds. We have someone blowing the whistle in the stands up in this area. We'd like to get the police over in this area if we could. Be first down. We'll replay the down.
Joe Ryder calling out the cops. San Jose's finest.
That unfortunate incident wrecked whatever momentum Troy had on that drive as they turned the ball over on 4 plays. Once again in the third quarter, the Huskies kept the Trojans off the board, and Nendig would once again try to pad the lead with a 39-yard attempt.
39 yards out. He hit from 30 but missed from 42 tonight. And that one is good.
He just wanted another opportunity from the same spot, Pam, and got a strong leg for a freshman.
While working on a long 11-play drive, NIU would put the game away as A.J. Harris ran to the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown run.
Harris gets behind a great block by Brian Van Acker and scores the touchdown.
A few minutes later, Troy would finally answer back to the Huskies' onslaught. McDowell would pull off a quarterback keeper to the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown run.
Cut the wires off his jaw. He said if the game got any closer, but fortunately they held on to win and he didn't have to be the hero. He did play the next week against Toledo as McDowell dives into the end zone. And Troy has scored its first touchdown since the first quarter.
After a few punts, Troy would try to make it a one-possession game on 4th and goal with a little more than 3 minutes left in the 4th quarter.
From an academic standpoint,
Crucial ball game for Troy. They need this one. McDowell running away from trouble, flings it into the end zone. It's incomplete. Getting his hands on it was James Earl Cray.
After that turnover, the Huskies would run out the clock, winning their first bowl game in 21 years. But over the next 14 years, it wouldn't be the last time they'd win a bowl game. The same with Troy. They would go on to win a few bowl games between 2004 and 2018. 2 years later, Troy would win the program's first bowl game at the 2006 New Orleans Bowl. While the football was somewhat entertaining and the city made a profit from this game, many factors would lead to its demise. The weather was lousy. While I avoided the rain when I was at the 2003 game, I wasn't so lucky in 2004. I didn't mind. My seat was in a sheltered spot and I had a nice parka on to protect me from the elements. Also, I felt like it was a rite of passage to watch a sporting event in person in lousy weather. I sat with the NIU crowd, and I don't think they minded all that much either. They were from the Midwest. I'm sure they've had worse. One memory I had of this game was taking a lap around the grounds before the game, and I saw the look on some of the faces of the Troy marching band. I had never seen such a look of disillusion and despair because of the weather. I think a lot of the band were expecting clear skies because California. The weather would delay kickoff by nearly half an hour. The small storm caused a transformer to go on the fritz, knocking out power to the ESPN truck. That was a reason why you didn't see clips from Troy's first 2 scores of the game. The first 2 touchdowns, all I saw was the studio show when I looked back at the tape. The second score, the broadcast had one camera angle and it had more of a high school football game feeling to it. Another reason? The 2 teams that were involved. Both made the trip halfway across the country because no other bowl games would have them. Along with the lousy weather and the teams involved, the attendance would be the #1 reason why the bowl game died. The NCAA established a rule going into the 2004-05 bowl season that required the venue of a bowl game to sell 70% of the capacity in order to be certified for the next season, meaning Sefcoos Stadium had to sell at least 25,000 tickets to keep the game going for 2005. This game didn't even come close to that number. Nearly 5,500 people would make it out, myself included. This would be 18% of the stadium's capacity. Unless if one played an NCAA football video game or is a hardcore college football fan who loves a good bowl game no matter who was playing, nobody knew who these teams were, and no one would come out. As a result, in April of 2005, the SVFC would be decertified, and that would be the end of college bowl games in the Silicon Valley until further notice, which would be in 10 years to the exact date of the final Silicon Valley Football Classic.
This would be the final wet swan song of my days of going to this little college bowl game when I was there on December 30th, 2004.
Why is your team having such success here tonight? Oh, I like that. Good sound effects. She's a love it. Look at those beautiful blue eyes, guys. What do you think of that?
Not a bad looking dog.